every time, we are unable to please a narcissistic parent, we know what will come our way. Yeah, we know what narcissistic rage looks like: silent treatment, passive aggressive, behavior, in some of the cases, verbally abusive behavior, physically violent behavior. Narcissistic parents are going to, do all sorts of things to put you back in place. Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing good and taking good care of themselves. So today I'm going to talk about, the different ways narcissistic parents, distort their kids' reality. And before I get going, I would request you all to like, share, subscribe the channel, hit the notification bell so you guys are updated whenever we put out a new content. So narcissistic parents are very different from healthy parents. Healthy parents choose to start family for altruistic reasons. Healthy parents, have unconditional love and affection to offer to their children. With narcissistic parents, it's very instrumental, transactional, and conditional. Narcissistic parents are very similar to those breeders, yeah, who raise chicken, goat, beef, for meat, egg, milk. Yeah, narcissistic parents are, quite similar to those breeders who breed for return, for gain. Yeah, they're going to do everything, to raise you, and once you are capable, they are going to burden you with the, unrealistic expectations they have out of you, with the responsibility of keeping them happy, doing things for them. So, kids are, just like supply sources for narcissistic parents. It's really sad, but that's what, reality is. They breed for a purpose and reason. They really don't want their kids to grow up to be independent individuals. They want their kids to be dependent on them. And they do this, in a lot of ways. Yeah, and all of those ways, are highly manipulative. This is basically to distort the kids' reality, to distort the kids' sense of self, to stunt kids' growth, to keep the kid away from discovering his or her authentic self. So, it happens over a period of time. Narcissistic parents, start conditioning their kid to shape shift and suit their needs, wants, and desire. Yeah, and to keep betraying, their own self. The kids are trained to betray their own self, their needs, everything, that a healthy parent encourages you to do. But in narcissistic setups, in narcissistic families, narcissistic parents will train you to betray your own self, your own needs, your own likes, dislikes, your authenticity. You simply have to be the version that serves them. That's it. Yeah. So, narcissistic parents are very toxic and damaging. And this entire, conditioning, or you can say, the process of molding you into better slave begins from the childhood. Yeah, they are going to use you as a backup. If their, partner is emotionally absent, they are going to parentify you. They are going to establish emotional incest. Yeah, because they bred you for a purpose and reason to serve them. They really don't care, what their action and, treatment is causing you. They are least interested to know all of that. Yeah, and this is because of extreme sense of entitlement, lack of empathy, inability to self-reflect. They really don't care what their action might do to you. Yeah, they bred you for return. So, the moment they see you, walking, talking, doing all things by yourself, they're going to burden you with everything, whether it is household chores or whether it is pleasing them or being there, for them, whenever their partner is emotionally absent. Narcissistic parents are big time into, using their children for material needs, emotional needs. I mean, all sorts of needs and, requirement. They don't hesitate in using their children. Now, because of all this conditioning, because of all this, training, the kids grow up to be dysfunctional adults, and as a result of which they face a lot of problems in their life. They keep attracting toxic people. They are unable to soothe. They are unable to regulate themselves. There is no clarity, they feel suffocated because they were never, given the room to be themselves. They were always, labeled as, being selfish and mean for being authentic, for pursuing their likes, dreams, and desire. They were labeled as selfish and not so grateful child. So, with all that guilt and shame, the kid simply decided to give up everything and keep serving the narcissistic parent, keep pleasing the narcissistic parent. Because every time, we are unable to please a narcissistic parent, we know what will come our way. Yeah, we know what narcissistic rage looks like: silent treatment, passive aggressive, behavior, in some of the cases, verbally abusive behavior, physically violent behavior. Narcissistic parents are going to, do all sorts of things to put you back in place. Yeah. And this is because, they bred you with a purpose and reason. They don't want you to do anything apart from the things they want you to do. Yeah, they don't want you to grow up into healthy individuals. They don't want you to embrace your authenticity. They don't want you to, work on your weaknesses. They don't want you to, learn new things and, communicate with people and, grow up as a healthy adult. They don't want all of that. They, want you to be handicapped. They want you to be dependent on them, and that's it. Yeah, no matter how old you are, no matter what you bring on table, nothing really matters. All what matters is how well you are able to take care of them, how well you are able to please them, serve them, and, worship them. Yeah, they, in a way, feel like gods. Narcissistic parents have this god, complex inside of them, and they feel they have done a great deal of favor to you by bringing you in this world, and you owe them your entire life, your existence. You can never repay them. You know the drill. All those, gaslighting phrases that we get to hear in narcissistic homes: heaven lies under the feet of your mother, you can never repay your mother, you can never repay what your father has done, you will never be even, with your father because he has sacrificed so much. And, all of these gaslighting phrases basically to confuse you and keep you on hook. Yeah, keep you, in that servitude where you keep serving your narcissistic parents. You don't go off hook, you don't question them, and you just become a blind devotee. Yeah, you just become, a blind follower. Yeah, so narcissistic parents, have their own unique way to manipulate and exploit their children, and, stunt their children's growth. Yeah, they will always shame you if ever you exercise your autonomy, if ever you demand space and privacy. They are going to shame you. They are going to label you with all sorts of, nasty labels. And this is basically to, make you feel bad. This is basically to make you feel miserable. Yeah, so that next time you don't ask, for your independence. Yeah, everything is like a favor they do for you. Yeah, though, I mean, it's their duty to do things for you because they decided to bring you in this world. But the way how they project and portray, it seems as if it's a great deal of favor they did to you by raising you, by, taking care of your medical needs, by, feeding you, giving you shelter, sending you to school. They always, keep you reminded of the bare minimum they do for you. And this is basically to, guilt trip you and to keep you surrounded, by all these, obligations. I did this for you, I did that for you, can't you do this for me? Well, I have sacrificed so much of my nights, doing things for you and this and that. And now you want space, now you want to do things your way. Don't you even care about my happiness? How selfish have you become? Yeah, so they have their own, way. They have their, unique way to guilt trip you and to shame you. And this is basically to, confuse you. This is basically to silence you, and this is basically to evade all kind of accountability and responsibility. Yeah, narcissistic parents don't like being exposed or questioned. Yeah, that's it. If you question them, if you try and expose them, they are going to do a number on you. And let me tell you, narcissistic parents develop this ecosystem around themselves, yeah, where they have their enablers, you know, those narcissists who are in the nascent stage. They have their flying monkeys. All of these individuals are like damage control team. So the moment, you know, narcissistic parents summon them, they are going to come and, you know, do the dirty work for the narcissist. They are going to, you know, rationalize the narcissistic parents abusive behavior. They are going to normalize narcissistic parents abusive behavior. They are going to, you know, gaslight you in return. Oh, come on, you know, there is nothing wrong, she loves you, it's just that she's possessive about you. You have got no idea what your mother has done for you. You have got no idea what your father has done for you. So narcissistic parents have, you know, unique ways, you know, to get their work done without being exposed and without, you know, getting their hands dirty. If they disagree with you, they are going to let their flying monkeys and enablers do the talking. Yeah. So narcissistic parents are not going to spare you, and this is because they bred you for a purpose and reason. Until the time they don't see you giving them all what they want out of you, they are going to do nasty numbers on you. So now, what are the different ways narcissistic parents distort their children's reality? The first is projection. So whatever shortcomings, you know, the narcissistic parent has, they are going to project it on their children. They are going to label their children as selfish and mean, whereas in reality, narcissistic parents are being selfish and mean. Narcissistic parents might be really lazy. Narcissistic parents might be really careless, and they are going to simply, you know, label you as lazy and selfish. They are going to, you know, project all of their shortcomings on their children, and this is basically to, you know, uh, feel good. This is basically to, you know, have this, you know, sense of control that I can, you know, do anything with my child. I can make my child feel anything. Yeah. And you know, my child is going to see the world the way how I want my child to see. My child is never going to, you know, question me. My child is never going to hold me accountable. My child is never going to, you know, ask questions. My child is simply going to uh, think the way how I want. My child is going to feel the way how I want my child to feel. So, yes, you know, projection is something which they use. They are going to project all their insecurities, all their shortcomings, all their flaws onto their children. And this is basically to make them feel a little good that I'm flawless, I don't have any shortcomings, I don't have any problem, but my child has problems, my child has shortcomings. Yeah. So he or she needs to do more. He or she needs to be perfect. Yeah. Even though I'm not perfect, but I'm not addressing to it. I'm not going deeper and doing all that inner work. I'm not, getting into self-reflection. Instead, I'm simply, blaming the child. Instead, I'm simply, you know, projecting all of those things onto my child. And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel flawless. That makes me feel perfect. Yeah. So, you know, projection is something which helps the narcissistic parents, you know, feel good, be in control, and distort the kid's reality. Yeah. By, you know, telling the kid that you are being selfish, you are being oversensitive, you are overacting, you are being very mean, you are being a jealous child, you are being, you know, very ungrateful. Yeah. So narcissistic parents have a lot of tricks up their sleeves when it comes to controlling their offspring. The other way narcissistic parents, you know, distort their kids reality is with image management. So narcissistic parents have an image to maintain. They themselves are not authentic individuals. Yeah. They build a castle of lies, and, you know, they feel good about it. Yeah. Coverts have their own way. Grandiose, you know, narcissistic parents have their own way. So, you know, they project, you know, an image. Yeah. About themselves, about their family. And you know, that's how they feel good, that our family is respected, I am being honored, I am being seen in a good way. People respect me, people like me, people admire my ethics, people admire, you know, my generosity. People love me for being so intellectual, people love me for being so great. and they have different ways. So narcissists project a kind of an image. They are not authentic individuals. The projection is based on lies. Yeah, that's the false facade they build, where they reside and they feel safe. Now they want their kids also to play along. They don't want their kids to be their authentic self. Narcissistic parents are liars themselves, and they want their kids also to lead a dishonest life by not being their authentic self. So the narcissistic parents might criticize their kids. You should look this way, you cannot look that way, you have to do things this way, you cannot fail in this subject, you have to develop interest in this sport, you have to choose this career path, you have to get married at this age, you have to have this much of children, you need to give money to me, you need to give me total control, because that's how things are in the society, and that's the reason why people respect our family, people respect our family name, people honor us. So narcissistic parents are going to pressure their children to conform to their expectations and uphold the kind of image standard they have set up. Yeah, so narcissistic parents really don't want you to be yourself. Narcissistic parents really don't want you to grow up to be your unique self, embracing your authenticity. No, they want you to fit in to their narrative and agenda. And this image management obsession of narcissistic parent is something that strips the child of his or her uniqueness, his or her authenticity, his or her individuality. The child simply grows up to be a shapeshifter. Yeah, the child is simply looking forward to fit in. The child is unable to embrace his or her true authentic self, and the child is simply trying to fit in so the child can avoid abandonment, the child can avoid conflict, the child can avoid you know uh, withholding of love and affection. The child can avoid all the bad situation and circumstances by simply becoming a shapeshifter. That's what they are learning in the childhood from their narcissistic parents, and that's what they grow up to be. They simply become shapeshifters. I was also big time into shapeshifting. I always wanted to adjust and be someone who people loves, and be a kind of a people pleaser, someone who fits in, someone who speaks the same language as how the others do. And I had this inside of me that I need to be like the others, and in a way I was hating my own self. But I mean, with healing, spending time alone, I had this realization that I am a beautiful individual, and I think it's high time I should embrace my authentic self and not be the version that others want me to be. So narcissistic parents indoctrinate you in a lot of ways, yeah, by imposing, by manipulating, and by guilt tripping you, by shaming you. Narcissistic parents indoctrinate you in a lot of ways, and trust me, all of those ways are extremely damaging for you, for your future, for your growth. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids' reality is with this golden child versus scapegoat. So they are going to pick up a golden child, and then they are going to create a scapegoat, and now they are going to create rivalry between the two. They are going to give all that attention to the golden child, they are going to give all that love and affection to the golden child, and project the golden child as the special one, someone who deserves all the love, affection, and attention of the narcissistic parent. And then they are going to scapegoat the others who are uh, not up to their expectations. And there is this very weird competition environment in the family. Yeah, whereas in the scapegoat views the golden child as a competition. Yeah, and the golden child sees the scapegoat as the inferior sibling. It's really horrible, but narcissistic parents are not concerned about that. All what they are concerned about is that the competition is there and everyone is doing their best to please the narcissistic parent, and the narcissistic parent then throws some crumbs at them. Yeah, so this golden child versus scapegoat is also another way with the help of which they distort their kids' reality. The scapegoat grows up believing that there's something wrong with me. I was not the favorite child of my parent. In healthy families, healthy parents view their kids equally. They love their kids equally. There is no competition. Healthy parents' love and affection is not to be won. It's all unconditional, and they do the best they can for you. Yeah, but in narcissistic families, you have to win the love and affection and attention of your narcissistic parent. And how do you do that? By shape shifting, by betraying your own self, by becoming an obedient slave. So this atmosphere that is there in narcissistic families, this friction between the scapegoat and the golden child, that is something which really distorts the kids reality. Scapegoats believe that there is something wrong with them. They are not good enough. No matter what they do, they lack something. They grow up with this feeling of inadequacy. These golden children have a different kind of a mindset. They think they are better than their siblings. Some of these golden child later become narcissists themselves. Yeah, because of all that attention, all that love, affection, and rules don't apply to them. Narcissistic parents really destroy, distort, and damage things for their children. Yeah, so these golden child grow up with a distorted sense of self. I'm perfect, I'm better than my sister, that's the reason my mother loves me. I'm my mother's favorite child, I'm my father's favorite child. And let me tell you, when the golden child has this awakening, when they realize about their own true self, when they start pursuing their path to their authenticity, when they start being themselves, that is the time all of the bad stuff begins to happen with the golden child. That is the time when golden child is also scapegoated. Yeah, so it's a kind of a delusion that is created in the family. These narcissistic parents create a kind of a bubble, yeah, where they keep each of their slaves in. Yeah, scapegoat is in that scapegoat bubble, golden child is in that golden child bubble, and they think and feel a certain way, and all of this helps the narcissistic parent have better control over their child. Scapegoat does more and more and more in hopes of getting the entire loaf of bread, but all what the scapegoat gets is tiny bits of crumb, validation, affection. With golden child, things are different. Even though they do less, they get more, because in some ways or the other, they are able to feed their narcissistic parents ego. So they get all their attention, love, and affection. But the moment any of the children, I mean, whether it's the scapegoat or the golden child, they try and outgrow the narcissistic family system, they try and be themselves, they start exercising their autonomy, that is when shit begins to happen. Neither the golden child nor the scapegoat is spared. Both experience and face the narcissistic parents' rage and wrath. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids' reality is with this conditional love. So, kids grow up believing that only if they are purposeful, only if they are able to do certain things, only if they are able to, please the narcissistic parent or whosoever, only then they will get love. So love depends on their performance. That's what these kids grow up believing. Yeah, because of this conditional love, every time you didn't do things your narcissistic parents way, they stopped all that love and affection. They gave silent treatment to you. They treated you with passive aggression. So kids grow up believing that I need to be of some use, I need to be relevant, and only then I will be loved. Yeah, if I'm not relevant, if I'm not obedient, if I'm not of any use, people are not going to love me. So, these children of narcissistic parents grow up believing that love is conditional. Till the time I'm able to give people what they want out of me, I will be loved. But if I'm unable to give them what they want out of me, all that love and affection is going to vanish. So, these kids, work a lot more to get that validation. They literally burn themselves out in the process of seeking validation and approval, yeah, from the others, yeah. And this is also one of the reasons why children of narcissistic parents grow up to be people pleasers, yeah, because they know if they are unable to please people, they will not get love and affection and attention and validation. So the best thing is to please the people, to burn your own self and serve the others, to end your own self but keep helping the others, to damage your own self in the process of helping and serving the others. Yeah, so these kids suffer a lot because of this conditional love. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids' reality is, with identity suppression. So the narcissistic parents are going to impose, their desire, aspirations, and values on their children. You need to do this. You cannot do what you feel like. Yeah, narcissistic parents will decide what clothes you need to wear, what career path you need to choose, when you need to get married, with whom you need to have sex, how many kids you need to reproduce. Narcissistic parents, control every aspect of your life, and this in a way stunts your growth. This in a way keeps you away from developing your own true identity. Yeah, your identity is suppressed with their expectations, their do's and don'ts. You're not allowed to be yourself. Yeah, narcissistic parents hate their kids authenticity, and they're going to shame you, guilt trip you, label you with all sorts of labels. They're going to triangulate things only to keep you away from discovering your own true self. Because if you are being yourself, if you know your weaknesses, if you know your strength, you might not buy the shit that they throw at you. Yeah, you might simply distance yourself. You might start your life without them. Yeah, you might not be dependent on them, because then you would be able to see the toxic things that exists in your narcissistic family. You might not be in that bubble, in that confusion. Yeah, because the moment you are being yourself, it adds a lot of clarity, yeah, as to how you view things, yeah, the way how you feel about things. So a lot of clarity kicks in the moment you uh, get onto this path of embracing your authentic self. But that's not what the narcissistic parents want. So they'll keep gaslighting you, they'll triangulate conversations, they will bring in someone else to throw you off balance, to shame you, to guilt trip you, only to keep you away from discovering your own self. Yeah, so narcissistic parents are big time into identity suppression, and this is basically to stunt your growth. This is basically to keep you dependent, and this is basically to train you to shape shift and be the version that suits them, that enables them, and that aids them. Yeah, and not be the version that you want. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids reality is with this forced involvement in parents fantasies. So they might have a lot of this grandiose fantasies, unrealistic expectations and dreams, and they manipulate their kids into buying all of that. They manipulate their kids into taking up the responsibility of fulfilling the parents unrealistic expectations, dreams, and desire. Yeah, so narcissistic parents then don't let you dream what you want to dream or get what you want, but they manipulate you into getting involved into the parents dreams and fantasies and goals. Yeah, so you are stripped of your individuality. You are not allowed to feel and dream and plan things your way, because you are a team member who's going to help the narcissistic parent accomplish and fulfill his dreams, desire, goal, expectation, and fantasies. So yes, this forced involvement, in parents' fantasies is another, way with the help of which narcissistic parents distort, their kids' reality. So your goal is basically to fulfill, the goals of the narcissistic parent. Your goal is to help the narcissistic parent achieve and experience whatever they want. Yeah. And in this entire process, we learn to betray our own self. We learn to prioritize the narcissistic parents' dreams, desires, goals, and fantasies. And we keep, betraying our, wants, desire, dreams, and goals. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids' reality is with comparison. So they are going to compare you with the others. Every time you are unable to do things their way, or every time you are unable to, rise up to their expectation and standard, they are going to compare you with the others. Well, look at their son, well, look at their daughter, they are so obedient. Yeah, narcissistic parents are even going to lie. They are going to set up this false standards. Yeah, they are going to tell you, all those misconstrued and false stories that so and so person did this and that. They are going to brag about themselves. When I was of your age, I was excellent, I was so obedient, you have got no idea. But look at you. I really don't want you to be like me, but at least you can be like their son, at least you can be like their daughter. I don't think that's too much that I'm asking. So narcissistic parents are going to compare you every time you fail to do things their way. And what this does is that this distorts our perception of our abilities and achievements. We are simply unsure of our abilities. We doubt our abilities. Yeah, we think that we are not good enough. Yeah, and all of this comparison starts from early childhood. So every time you do things your way, or every time you land up doing some mistake, they're going to compare you with the others children. They're going to compare you with the golden child. They're going to tell you, well, see, he's so obedient. I mean, like, is it too much that I'm asking from you to be obedient, to listen to what I'm saying? So narcissistic parents are big time into destroying their kids with their manipulative skills, and they really don't care because of extreme sense of entitlement, lack of empathy. What they really don't care how you're going to suffer in future because of all that manipulation and all that abuse. Narcissistic parents really don't care. They simply care about the things that you can do for them, because they bred you for a purpose and reason. And they want you to accomplish all of that. They really don't want you to go off hope, or they really don't want you to run away. They really don't want you to see them for who they are. Instead, they want you to keep focusing on the targets they set for you. Yeah, that's how they keep you distracted, yeah, from discovering their nasty side. They always keep you focused on goals and targets. Now you need to do this. Look, their son has done this. Now you need to do this. I did this for my father. Now it's your turn. So narcissistic parents have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. The other way narcissistic parents, distort their kids' reality is with, isolation. So narcissistic parents are going to isolate you, from other supportive relationships and external influences. And this is basically to have better control over you. This is basically to keep you dependent on them and not the others. So they are going to gaslight you. They are going to tell you, well, your auntie is bad, your dad is horrible, but let me tell you, I am in this relationship just for the sake of you. Just because of you, I chose to be in this relationship. Just because of you, I suffered this. So narcissistic parents, are going to isolate you from the rest of the world. They are going to tell you, well, your auntie is bad, this friend is bad, they are bad influence. And this is basically to keep you away from other sources of validation, love, affection, appreciation. They simply want you to be isolated from the rest of the world and be dependent on them. Yeah, because if you get healthy validation elsewhere, you might begin to question a lot of things. A lot of questions are going to come in your mind. Yeah, I mean, if my aunt can accept me the way how I am, what's the problem with my mother? Yeah, so you will begin to ask questions, and that's not what they want. They want you to be in that bubble. They want you to be in that delusionary world that they have built for you. Yeah, so narcissistic parents will isolate you from the others. They are going to tell you world is a bad place. You will not be able to navigate without my help. I'm more intelligent. I have seen it all. I am the best. And without me, you will always, stumble into wrong people, into wrong company, and you will suffer. And, I'm your Messiah. I'm your Savior. Yeah, so your life without me is nothing, it's meaningless, it's worthless. Yeah. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids reality is with emotional invalidation. So if you don't feel good about certain things, narcissistic parents are not going to be there emotionally. Instead, they are going to emotionally invalidate your emotions. Stop feeling that way, get ready. Stop being oversensitive. Oh, don't be a crybaby. Aren't you thinking way too much? You shouldn't be feeling this way. Narcissistic parents are big time into emotionally invalidating their children. And this is basically to, zombify their children. This is basically to, train their children to betray their own feelings and emotion. The kids grow up with this belief that my emotion and feeling is of no use and concern. It's not of any value. It's not worth any importance and attention. Instead, my narcissistic parents emotion and feelings have to be prioritized. I need to make my narcissistic parent happy, even though I feel miserable in the end. I shouldn't be focused on my feelings and emotion. Yeah, so emotional invalidation trains us to betray our emotion and feeling, and simply keep serving the narcissistic parents, simply keep taking care of the narcissistic parents feelings and emotions. The other way narcissistic parents distort their kids reality is with manipulative praise and criticism. So if your achievement is helping them, or bringing something on the table, or your achievement is reflecting positively on them as parent, then they are going to praise you, then they are going to validate you, then they are going to laud you. But if your achievement is not bringing anything on the table, or if your achievement is not reflecting positively on them as parents, then they are not going to praise you. Instead, they are going to criticize you. Yeah, so it's very conditional and transactional. If your success is helping them have something, then they are going to praise you. Otherwise, they are not going to praise you. So everything is related to them. Yeah, if you score good grades in a subject that they want you to score in, then they are going to praise you. But if you score good grades in a subject which they are not fond of, or which they are not interested you to get into or pursue, then they are not going to praise you. If you get into a work that you love doing, they might not praise you, because that is not something which they want you to get into. Yeah, so it's all about them. Yeah, if something is bringing them good name, if something is a gain for them, then they are going to praise you, or else they are going to criticize you. Healthy parents will validate you for your smallest achievements, for your silliest achievements. Healthy parents are there to support you, encourage you. Healthy parents do engage in constructive criticism as well. Yeah, there is this dialogical conversation and communication in healthy families. But with narcissistic parents, it's pretty one way. Yeah, if your success, if your achievement is not bringing in good name to them, it's not reflecting them as good parent, noble parent, then they are not going to validate you, then they are not going to laud you or praise you. Instead, they are going to criticize you. But if any of your action, success, achievement reflects them as good parent, then they are going to praise you. Yeah, so it's all about them and not you. The other way narcissistic parents, distort their kids' reality is with forced confessions and false accusations. So narcissistic parents may coerce their kids, into making false confessions, or accusations to serve, the parents' agenda. Yeah, whether it is to cover up the parents wrongdoing, or to discredit the child's experience and perception. So they are going to manipulate you into playing along. Yeah, they are going to manipulate you into buying their agenda. They are going to manipulate you into being on to their side. Yeah, and not on to the other side. So they might manipulate you into confessing to things which are not true. Yeah, and that is simply to malign the other parent or malign the other kid. So narcissistic parents are big time into manipulating their children. They ruthlessly manipulate their children, to get what they want out of their children. Children are slaves to these narcissistic parents. Yeah, they expect their kids to do anything and everything mindlessly. They really don't want the kids to use their brain. They simply want their kids to be like a teammate. Yeah, even though the narcissistic parent is abusive, horrible, they want their kids to be on their side. Yeah, and keep playing along. Yeah, even if they are wrong, I mean the narcissistic parent is wrong, they want their kids to keep playing along and see the world the way how they do. They really don't want their kid to support and help the other parent. They don't want their kid to support and help the other sibling. They simply want their kids to be devoted and dedicated to them, and do anything and everything that helps them, that serves them. Yeah, so this forced confession and false accusation is also one of the thing that these narcissistic parents use to distort their kids reality, and as a result of which the kids grow up believing in a lot of wrong things. Yeah, which are not true, which are completely false, which are misconstrued, which are all made up. Yeah, the kid might grow up believing that the father was a bad person. The kid might grow up believing that the sibling was a bad person. Yeah, and the kid might distance himself or herself from the father or the sibling, whereas in it is all the narcissistic parents manipulation. Yeah, the other way narcissistic parents distort their kids reality is with this religious or cult like indoctrination. Yeah, they are going to tell you, well, if you don't obey me, if you're not obedient, if you don't conform to what I want you to conform, you might go to hell, you might not get salvation, you might not be experiencing heaven, you might not be treated well in your afterlife because you're disobeying me. So narcissistic parents have a lot of these nonsensical ways to control and manipulate their children. And this is basically a you can say a kind of a fear tactics that they use. If you don't obey me, God is going to be angry, he's going to punish you, he's going to burn you in hell. Yeah, and the kids literally fall for it. Yeah, because they grow up in that bubble, and they are simply exposed to the narcissistic parent. They have been trimmed off all the connection and network. They are not allowed to socialize, they are not allowed to mingle with external influences, other people. The kid is simply dependent on the narcissistic parent. So the narcissistic parent is like a world to the child. Yeah, and the narcissistic parent then gets a free pass to push all garbage inside the kid's head. So narcissistic parent might tell you they might come up with some mythical character or some fictional character, and they might tell you, well, so and so person burnt in hell. And do you know why? Because he was not obedient, because she was, not obedient. She was not listening, to the mother, because he was not listening to the father. They were questioning their parents. And, as a result of which, when they died, they were burnt in hell. God was very angry. God punished them. So, narcissistic parents have a lot of ways to, stunt your growth, keep you in that bubble, and distort your reality, distort your sense of self. And this is all, to keep you on hook. Yeah, they don't want you to grow up to be, healthy individuals. And they really work very hard to keep you on hook. They don't leave anything, whether it is religion, their love and affection, society, outside world, uh, family history, money. They are going to use anything and everything to exploit you, manipulate you, and to keep you on hook. Yeah, the entire idea is to, keep you dependent on them. The entire idea is to keep you in that mode where you are not, going inwards, where you are not doing anything for yourself. Instead, you're simply dedicated and devoted, to serve them. That's all. And the last way narcissistic parents distort their kids' reality is by distorting memories and historical narratives. So narcissistic parents may rewrite, family history, or manipulate memories to fit their narrative, gaslighting their children into questioning their own recollection and perceptions of the past events. So narcissistic parents, might gaslight you to such an extent that, you might begin to doubt your own perception and reality. And you might, go back to them and ask them, was it this or was it that? I mean, was, this situation and incident this way, or was it something else? Yeah, because they really mess your mind. Narcissistic parents want you to remember the things they want you to remember. Narcissistic parents want you to, view things the way how they want you to. Yeah, they don't want you to view, things the way how it is. Yeah, so if they don't like someone, they are going to, replace all those good memories that you have with that person by telling you, no, she was not a good person. You have got no idea. She was just being good with you, but behind your back, she used to complain to the other relatives. Narcissistic parents are big time into, this replacing memories, and, this helps them have better control over you. So narcissistic parents are going to distort memories. They are going to, you know uh, uh, replace all those memories with, all those lies and false information. Yeah, so, they are going to tell you, well, you think your dad loved you? You are absolutely wrong. He used to talk ill about you in front of the others. The only person who loved you was me. So, narcissistic parents are way more damaging than you can even think and imagine. Yeah. So, these were a couple of ways with the help of which narcissistic parents, distort their kids' reality. In case if you would like to add in something, you can always comment below. Till then, take care of yourself. Lots of love and blessings to all of you. Please work on your own self, become financially independent, and let me tell you, there is only one way, and that is to go no contact. All those gray rock, emotionally distancing yourself, none of it works, on the long run, because narcissists are intelligent individuals. They know what buttons to press. Yeah. So work on yourself, strengthen yourself, and if you can and if you want, go no contact. And then you'll see a lot of things change. Then you will see, you discovering your own self. Then you will see you embracing your authentic self. Then you will, feel, and experience freedom. Then you will feel, a heavy burden off your chest and shoulder. Then you will be able to soar high and, be the version that you want, and not the version that serves them.